I remember that morning like it was yesterday. Jessica and I had spent the last 3 years building what I thought was an unshakable bond. We had meticulously planned our dream wedding at a vineyard in Napa Valley only 2 weeks away. Everything was set, the venue, the flowers, our vows. Then suddenly she was gone. No explanation, no real goodbye. Just a brief text saying she needed space. When I discovered the truth, that she had secretly planned a trip to Mexico with her college friends, without telling me, something broke inside. The woman I trusted most had chosen deception over honesty at one of the most important moments of our lives. As I stood in our empty apartment, holding the evidence of her betrayal, I knew I had a choice to make. Where are you watching from today? Drop a comment below and hit that subscribe button as I share how I reclaimed my self-respect when my bride-to-be ghosted me just before our wedding. The day I met Jessica at the law firm where she worked as a corporate attorney was ordinary in every way except one. It was the beginning of what I thought would be my forever. I was there as a consulting architect for their office renovation. She walked into the conference room with confidence that immediately caught my attention. Smart, assertive, ambitious, Jessica had a presence that filled the room. "You must be Preston, the architect," she said, extending her hand with a smile that would become my favorite sight in the world. Our first conversation stretched well beyond the meeting's scheduled time. We found ourselves discussing everything from building designs to our shared love of hiking. By the end, I had gathered enough courage to ask her to dinner. "There's this Italian place downtown I've been wanting to try." I suggested, trying to sound casual despite my racing heart. "I thought you'd never ask," she replied with a smirk that melted away any nervousness I felt. Our first date at Salvatore's Italian restaurant was magical. We talked until the staff began closing up around us. From that night on, our relationship blossomed quickly. We both knew early on that this was different from previous relationships. Over the next 2 years, we created memories that I treasured. A spontaneous road trip to Colorado, where we hiked through mountain trails and spent nights stargazing. The surprise birthday party she organized with all my friends from architecture school. The excitement of purchasing our first piece of furniture together, a vintage mid-century modern coffee table that became the centerpiece of our shared apartment. When I decided to propose, I wanted it to be meaningful rather than flashy. I reserved a table at Salvatore's, the restaurant where we had our first date. As we finished our tiramisu, I got down on one knee and presented her with the emerald-cut diamond ring I had spent months saving for. "Jessica, you've made these past 2 years the best of my life. I want to build a future with you, design our life together the way we dream up our perfect home. Will you marry me?" Tears formed in her eyes as she nodded enthusiastically. "Yes, Preston. Absolutely yes." What surprised me was how quickly she pulled out her phone and showed me a wedding planning folder she had already created. Jessica was always organized, but I was touched by how much thought she had already put into our future together. "I hoped this day would come," she admitted with a shy smile. The wedding planning process revealed new sides of Jessica. She was decisive about what she wanted: a vineyard wedding in Napa Valley, approximately 200 guests, a specific designer for her dress. I was happy to support her vision, occasionally offering input, but mostly admiring her passion for creating our perfect day. Our families were thrilled. My parents immediately connected with hers over dinner celebrations. My mom and Jessica spent weekends looking at flowers and table settings. Her father, initially reserved, warmed up to me after discovering our shared interest in classic cars. "You picked a good one," he told me during a Sunday barbecue, which felt like the ultimate approval. Everything seemed perfect until about 2 months before the wedding. Subtle changes in Jessica appeared. She became more distant, often lost in thought during our conversations. When I asked if she was feeling overwhelmed by wedding planning, she would shake her head and say, "Everything was fine, just work stress." I started noticing her constant texting, the way she would turn her phone screen away when I entered the room. Several times her phone rang, and she would step outside to take the call, returning with vague explanations about work emergencies or wedding details. Most concerning was how she began meeting her college friends more frequently. Lisa, Amanda, Kate, and a couple others I had only met briefly at parties. These were weekly gatherings now, and for the first time in our relationship, I wasn't invited to join them, not even occasionally. "It's just girl talk about the wedding," she would say, dismissively. "Nothing you would find interesting." I tried to be understanding. Wedding planning was stressful, and everyone needed their support systems. Perhaps she just needed space with her friends to vent or share excitement in ways she couldn't with me. I told myself these changes were temporary, that after the wedding, we would settle back into our comfortable rhythm. How wrong I was. The signs were there, waving red flags I chose to ignore because I trusted her completely. I never imagined that trust was exactly what would be broken beyond repair. The morning Jessica disappeared started like any other Tuesday. We had breakfast together, discussing final details for the wedding. She mentioned meeting with our wedding planner to finalize the seating chart. "I should be back around 4, she said, kissing me goodbye. "Then we can review the final menu options together." 4 o'clock came and went. No Jessica. By 6, I started calling her cell phone, but it went straight to voicemail. At 8, I texted her parents, trying to sound casual, asking if they had heard from her. They had not. By midnight, genuine worry set in. This was completely out of character. Jessica was meticulous about communication, always letting me know if plans changed. I barely slept, checking my phone constantly. The next morning, a brief text finally arrived. "Need some time to think. Please do not worry. We'll explain soon." That was it. No details, no explanation of where she was or when she would return. I called immediately, but the call went to voicemail again. I sent multiple messages asking where she was, if she was safe, what was happening. No response. I contacted everyone I could think of, her close friends from work, her family members. No one seemed to know anything, or if they did, they were not sharing information with me. 48 hours of silence felt like an eternity. The truth revealed itself in the most mundane way possible. While checking our shared credit card account online to make sure no fraud had occurred, I noticed a transaction from a resort in Cancun, Mexico. Jessica had used our joint card to pay for what appeared to be spa services. Confused, I dug deeper. Our shared cloud storage contained travel confirmations. Jessica had booked flights to Cancun a month ago, not just for herself, but for 5 friends, her college group. They had departed the morning she supposedly went to meet our wedding planner. The final piece fell into place when I checked the iPad she sometimes used, which was still logged into her email. There were dozens of messages planning what they called a last-minute bachelorette getaway, complete with beach activities, club reservations, and spa appointments. The trip had been meticulously planned for weeks. But what truly devastated me were the messages between Jessica and her friend Lisa. "Are you sure Preston has no idea?" Lisa had asked. "Completely clueless," Jessica replied. "He thinks I am just running wedding errands all week." Another exchange cut deeper. "Are you having second thoughts about the wedding?" Lisa asked. "I just need one last week of freedom before I commit forever," Jessica had written. "Sometimes I wonder if I am ready for this. Preston is great, but so predictable. I need to be sure." My world collapsed. The deception was so thorough, so calculated. This was not a spontaneous trip or a communication misunderstanding. Jessica had deliberately planned to disappear, letting me worry while she enjoyed a secret vacation she never bothered to mention to me, her future husband. I sat on our couch surrounded by wedding planning binders, holding the iPad with irrefutable evidence of her betrayal. The pain was physical, a hollow ache spreading through my chest. Anger followed, then confusion, then more pain. On the 3rd day of her absence, Jessica finally called. The conversation lasted less than 2 minutes. "Preston, please do not panic. I just needed some space with my friends before the wedding. Everything is fine." "Where are you?" I asked, my voice somehow steady despite the storm inside me. "That is not important. I will be back in a week. We can talk then." Her tone was casual, as if she had just stepped out for coffee. "Jessica, we are getting married in 2 weeks. You disappeared, without explanation. "I found out you are in Mexico, on a trip you hid from me. How is this okay?" Silence on her end. "Then I need to go. We will discuss this when I return." After she hung up, I sat motionless, contemplating my options. I could wait for her return, pretend this massive breach of trust was acceptable, and proceed with our wedding. Or I could acknowledge what this situation truly revealed about our relationship and my worth within it. The more I thought about it, the clearer it became. This was not simply about a secret trip. It was about fundamental respect, honesty, and communication, the bedrock of any successful marriage. If Jessica could so easily deceive me about something this significant 2 weeks before our wedding, what did that say about our future together? I deserved better than this. We both deserved better than a foundation built on deception. The day after discovering Jessica's location, I invited both sets of parents to our apartment. This was perhaps the most difficult conversation I had ever initiated, but it was necessary. They deserved to know what was happening directly from me, not through rumors or last-minute announcements. Jessica is currently in Cancun. I explained, my voice surprisingly steady as I showed them the evidence. She planned this trip with her friends weeks ago, but chose not to tell me about it. Jessica's mother gasped. "That cannot be right. She would never just leave without telling you, especially this close to the wedding." Her father remained silent, his expression darkening as he processed the information. My own parents exchanged concerned glances. My father placed his hand on my shoulder, a simple gesture that conveyed immense support. I believe I continued carefully that this indicates serious problems in our relationship that I cannot ignore. What followed was a difficult but necessary conversation. Jessica's parents called her repeatedly during our discussion, but she did not answer. Eventually, her mother reached one of the friends on the trip, confirming what I had already discovered. "I do not understand what she is thinking," her mother said, tears forming. "This is not how we raised her." "What do you plan to do, Preston?" my mother asked gently. "I need to postpone the wedding," I replied. "I cannot in good conscience proceed when such a fundamental breach of trust has occurred." Both families, though heartbroken, understood my position. Jessica's parents apologized repeatedly for their daughter's behavior, which only made the situation more painful. They were victims in this, too blindsided by their daughter's choices. The next step was equally difficult. With the wedding less than 2 weeks away, guests needed to be notified immediately. I spent hours drafting an email that was honest without being accusatory. "Dear friends and family, it is with deep regret that I must inform you that the wedding between Jessica and myself will not be taking place on September 12th as planned. Circumstances have arisen that make postponement necessary. I sincerely apologize for any inconvenience this causes, especially to those who have made travel arrangements. Your support and understanding during this difficult time mean the world to me." The responses flooded in immediately, messages of support, confusion, and concern. Several of Jessica's colleagues expressed complete shock. A few mutual friends called to check on me personally. Most surprising were the messages from 2 of Jessica's college friends who were not on the trip. They revealed they had known about the planned getaway, but had been sworn to secrecy. "We thought you knew and were okay with it," one wrote. "Jessica assured us you were fine with her having one last girls' trip." Each new piece of information reinforced that I was making the right decision, yet the pain remained acute. There was relief in being honest with everyone, in no longer maintaining the facade that everything was fine. But that relief came with the grief of watching a future I had believed in crumble before my eyes. The next few days were a blur of action. I secured a small apartment across town, needing space from the home Jessica and I had shared. The lease manager, upon hearing a simplified version of my situation, expedited the paperwork. Within 48 hours, I had moved essential belongings to my new temporary home. "New beginnings require new spaces," my friend Marcus said as he helped me move boxes. His simple wisdom became my mantra. I threw myself into work, focusing on a significant design project for a community center that had been languishing on my desk. The client was delighted with my sudden productivity and fresh ideas. My boss noticed too. "Whatever is driving this creative surge, keep it up," he said, unaware of my personal turmoil. I also began therapy sessions, recognizing that processing this betrayal required professional guidance. My therapist helped me understand that setting boundaries was not punishment, but self-preservation. "You are not overreacting," she assured me during our first session. "Trust is fundamental in marriage. Starting with this level of deception would set a dangerous precedent." These actions helped me regain a sense of agency I had lost when Jessica disappeared. Each decision, from moving out to scheduling therapy, reinforced that while I could not control her actions, I could control my response to them. When Jessica finally returned 10 days after her disappearance, she texted as if nothing extraordinary had happened. "Just landed. Can we have dinner at home tonight and catch up?" I suggested meeting at a neutral location instead, a coffee shop downtown. Her confusion was evident when she arrived and saw me already seated with a single cup of coffee. "Why are we meeting here?" she asked, glancing around as if expecting to see friends or family. "I thought it would be best to talk somewhere neutral," I replied calmly. Jessica looked tan and rested wearing new earrings I had never seen before, presumably purchased in Mexico. She smiled as if expecting everything to immediately return to normal. "The trip was amazing," she began enthusiastically. "The resort was gorgeous, and we had the best time snorkeling. You would have loved it." When I did not match her enthusiasm, she finally noticed my serious expression. "What is wrong? Are you still upset?" "I took a little vacation. Everyone needs space sometimes, Preston. It was just a girls' trip before the wedding." "The issue is not the trip itself," I explained carefully. "It is that you planned it secretly for weeks, lied about where you were going, and disappeared, without proper explanation, 2 weeks before our wedding." She dismissed my concerns with a wave of her hand. "You are overreacting. It was just a bachelorette trip. Most brides have them. Most brides tell their fiancés they are going I-countered. Most brides do not let their partners worry about their safety for days. Most brides do not lie." The conversation deteriorated from there. Jessica became defensive, then angry when I informed her I had postponed the wedding and moved out temporarily. Her expression shifted from disbelief to outrage. "You did what?" "Without even talking to me first," she demanded, voice rising enough that nearby patrons glanced our way. "You made a significant decision, without talking to me first," I replied evenly. "I followed your example." Her anger intensified when I explained that both families knew everything. "You had no right to tell my parents. This was between us. When you left without explanation 2 weeks before our wedding, it stopped being just between us." The final blow came when I slid a small box across the table, containing her engagement ring. "I think we both need to reevaluate what we want," I said quietly. "I cannot marry someone who believes it is acceptable to disappear and lie to me. That is not the foundation for a healthy marriage." Jessica stared at the ring box, her anger transforming into panic. "You cannot be serious. You are throwing away 3 years over one mistake." "This is not about punishment," I explained. "This is about recognizing what this situation reveals about our relationship. You did not trust me enough to be honest. I cannot trust you not to disappear when things get difficult. That is not something we can fix in 2 weeks." When she left the coffee shop, tears streaming down her face, I felt terrible despite knowing I had made the right decision. Causing pain to someone I loved, even someone who had hurt me deeply, brought no satisfaction. But for perhaps the first time in our relationship, I had prioritized my self-respect over her expectations. That realization brought a strange sense of peace amidst the heartbreak. The weeks following my decision were some of the most challenging of my life. Each morning brought the stark realization that the future I had planned no longer existed. I would wake up reaching for Jessica, only to find empty space beside me. The wedding date came and passed. A day I spent hiking alone in the mountains, deliberately away from cell service and reminders. The pain was not constant, but came in waves. Certain songs, restaurants, or phrases would trigger memories that left me momentarily breathless with grief. I missed not just Jessica, but the life we had planned together. My friends proved invaluable during this time. Marcus insisted I join his Thursday basketball games, providing much-needed physical activity and male camaraderie. My college roommate Thomas flew in for a weekend bringing nothing but bad movies and good whiskey. My sister called daily sometimes, just to sit in understanding silence on the phone. Healing is not linear, she reminded me. Some days will be better than others. Work became my sanctuary. I poured creativity and energy into the community center project, designing spaces that fostered connection and belonging, perhaps subconsciously creating what I myself needed. The client loved my designs so much they referred me to another major project, a sustainable apartment complex downtown. Your recent work shows remarkable emotional intelligence, my boss noted during my performance review. These spaces feel truly human. I found unexpected comfort in a support group for people who had experienced relationship betrayals. Hearing others share stories of deception and recovery normalized my experience and provided perspective. Some had endured far worse, yet found their way to healing. The person who breaks your heart does not get to dictate how you heal from it, shared one group member whose wisdom I wrote down and taped to my bathroom mirror. As weeks turned into months, I began noticing subtle shifts in my perspective. The anger that initially fueled me gradually subsided, replaced by clarity about what had gone wrong in our relationship. I recognized patterns of communication breakdown that had existed long before Jessica's disappearing act. I saw how I had sometimes prioritized harmony over honesty, avoiding difficult conversations that might have revealed our incompatibilities sooner. My therapist helped me identify relationship patterns I wanted to avoid in the future. We worked through exercises that clarified my core values and boundaries. Trust, honesty, and direct communication topped the list, non-negotiable elements I would require in any future relationship. You have done remarkable work processing this experience, she told me, during our 6th month of sessions. Many people would have simply carried this wound into their next relationship. 6 months after what should have been our wedding day, I received an unexpected promotion at work. The community center project had received local acclaim for its innovative design, and the firm wanted me to lead a new division focused on community-centered architecture. This professional validation came at exactly the right moment, confirming that life was moving forward in positive ways, despite the personal setback. Around this same time, I began cautiously dating again. Nothing serious at first. Coffee dates and casual dinners with women I met through friends or professional connections. Each interaction helped rebuild my confidence in my ability to connect with others. Through a professional networking event, I met Amanda, an environmental engineer whose passion for sustainable building practices aligned perfectly with my own interests. Our first few dates revealed a refreshing directness in her communication style. I believe in saying what I mean and meaning what I say, she told me during our second dinner together. Life is too short for game playing. This straightforward approach was exactly what I needed. With Amanda, I found myself able to discuss my past experience openly. Rather than seeing my caution as a red flag, she appreciated my commitment to building relationships on honesty and clear communication. Broken trust can either make you bitter or better, she said thoughtfully. It seems you have chosen the latter. The contrast between my relationship with Jessica and these early days with Amanda highlighted important lessons I had learned through the painful experience. I now recognized that real intimacy required vulnerability, but also boundaries. I understood that respect manifested in how people communicated during conflicts, not just during good times. Most importantly, I had learned to trust my instincts rather than dismissing warning signs in favor of optimism. The truth was, there had been subtle indications of Jessica's capacity for deception long before her disappearance. Small inconsistencies in stories, selective sharing of information, defensiveness, when questioned, patterns I had rationalized or ignored because they contradicted the future I envisioned. This realization was perhaps the most valuable lesson from the entire experience. Our intuition often recognizes truth before our conscious mind is ready to accept it. The gut feelings I had dismissed deserved more respect than I had given them. As I continued rebuilding my life, I came to view what happened not as merely a personal tragedy, but as a necessary redirection. Had Jessica and I married with these underlying issues unresolved, the eventual dissolution would likely have been far more destructive, possibly involving shared property finances or even children. Self-respect, I discovered, was not a luxury, but a necessity in relationships. Without it, love becomes distorted, turning into something that diminishes rather than enhances life. By standing firm in my worth and refusing to accept deception as an acceptable foundation for marriage, I had not only protected myself, but ultimately respected Jessica too, by refusing to enter a compromised union that would have harmed us both. The most profound insight came unexpectedly, during a sunset hike, 6 months after the wedding, that never happened. Standing on a ridge overlooking the city, I realized that while trust once broken is difficult to repair, trust in oneself can be rebuilt stronger than before. The pain Jessica caused had not destroyed my capacity for connection, but refined it. I now understood what I truly needed in a partner, and recognized more clearly when those needs were or were not being met. Sometimes, what feels like rejection is actually protection. Sometimes losing what you thought you wanted opens the door to what you truly need. And sometimes the most painful endings create space for the most authentic beginnings. Have you ever experienced a betrayal that ultimately led to unexpected growth? Share your story in the comments below. If this journey resonated with you, please hit that subscribe button and like this video so others in similar situations can find this message. Your support helps this channel reach more people who might be struggling with trust and relationship challenges. Remember, whatever you are going through, you are not alone in your experience. Thank you for listening, and I wish you the courage to always honor your worth, even when it requires difficult choices.